It's my pleasure to join you today. At the Department of Energy, I have the honor of leading our Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. And in that Office of Efficiency and Renewables, our mission is to equitably transition America to net zero greenhouse gas emissions economy-wide no later than 2050, which will create good paying jobs and ensure that this clean energy economy benefits all Americans. Now, our ultimate goal is to carry out the president's clean energy plan, which really lays out a framework to address the climate crisis and put America on an irreversible path to achieving a carbon-free electricity sector by 2035. And I think Americans are ready to build our economy back better, powered by clean energy. They're eager to see the benefits of clean energy in their communities, and they want our clean energy future manufactured right here in America. So I'm just super glad to be a part of the conversation today because state and local jurisdictions are really where the rubber hits the road in terms of expanding the potential for clean energy technologies to benefit the communities across the country. I am super grateful that with the leadership of the District of Columbia's government, that you all have set your own bold plan of reducing emissions by 56% by 2032. At its best, DC has always been a model for the future as our nation's capital, and that lead by example approach continues today. I know that today you've heard a wide variety of perspectives. My goal is to really leave you with a sense of where our priorities are in the federal level and where we can continue to partner and increase those partnerships with one another, just to be able to meet this enormous challenge and opportunity that we have before us. Secretary Granholm likes to say that DOE is America's solutions agency because we never back away from a challenge. And because of how many technologies and areas of our society that our work impacts. And that's especially true within our work at the Efficiency and Renewables Office. We know that there's no single technology and no single solution that's going to get us there. It's going to take coordinating efforts in a multitude of ways, especially at the state and local level. So we focus our efforts in the Efficiency and Renewables Office on 5 overarching priorities that are essential to accelerate this transition to a clean energy economy. That includes decarbonizing the electric grid, decarbonizing the industrial sector, reducing the carbon footprint of buildings, decarbonizing the agriculture sector, and decarbonizing the transportation sector, which still accounts for the largest share of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States, about 34% as of 2019. So our focus on sectors rather than specific technologies really fosters collaboration with national labs, other federal agencies, as well as our state and local partners to make sure that we are meeting our climate objectives together and meeting our individual goals as well. So there isn't just one way to build a low carbon economy. On the contrary, it's going to require solutions to fit the locality's priorities with a range of integrated technologies. Just as it will take all of us working together across sectors, across organizations, and across those silos to tackle the climate crisis. We're at work every day putting these puzzle pieces together. Through our cross-office and our cross-department collaboration, we're working to ensure that the transition to this clean energy economy will benefit all Americans. And we're doing that through 4 guiding principles. 1 is environmental justice, 2 is diversity in STEM, 3, a focus on workforce, and 4, state and local engagement. These key priorities are priorities of our office, and it's a key priority of the administration and Department of Energy really to address environmental injustices that disproportionately affect communities of color, low-income communities, and indigenous communities. So many of these communities continue to live with the toxic legacy of air pollution. They're still paying way too much on their energy bills, and they're still often the first and the worst impacted by climate crisis. So our new Office of Energy Justice at the Department of Energy is working to ensure that everything we do results in 40% of the overall benefits of the relevant federal investments are being delivered to disadvantaged communities. We're going to be considering, and we do consider, the environmental justice and the equity impacts in the development and execution of all of all of our projects in efficiency and renewables, in all of our funding opportunities, as well as the broader transition to a clean energy economy. Our recently announced Communities LEAP program, for example, will provide support for low-income communities and those traditionally reliant on fossil fuels to be able to access and benefit from a clean energy future through workforce development training programs. We're also supporting the Biden administration's commitment to help our communities build back better from the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. As the president said, his climate plan is a jobs plan. We're mobilizing to create good paying jobs in clean energy with good benefits, with strong protections, family sustaining wages, and the option to join a union. President Biden doesn't just want anyone forging America's clean energy future. He also wants this union hands in there. He wants union hands building wind turbines and electric vehicles. Union workers built our cities and keep them running every day, including in Washington, D.C., and they will power our clean energy future. So when we scale up emerging technologies, we create pathways for people in construction, in engineering, and other skilled trades to work on building a new American energy economy powered on innovation. We're also committed to raising awareness of clean energy job opportunities at minority serving institutions and minority professional organizations. Our goal is to help ensure that the clean energy workforce actually looks like America. I'm opportunistic about this future because I see so much creativity and ingenuity every day in the people we partner with at every level and within the Department of Energy. The state and local stakeholders, the scientists, the students, the entrepreneurs, and Americans who choose to believe in our ability to rise to the challenge. And I'm optimistic also because of the extraordinary advancement and cost effectiveness of our clean energy technologies in recent years. DOE recently released our Solar Futures study, which shows that the costs of solar panels have fallen so much that they could produce 40% of our electricity needs by 2035. And the wind market report that was issued that same week shows that more wind energy was installed in 2020 than any other energy source, making up about 42% of new US capacity and supporting nearly 117,000 jobs. But to get to a 100% clean grid by 2035 means we have to accelerate this tremendous progress. That's exactly why we announced new goals of cutting the cost of solar by 60% by 2030 and deploying 30 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030. And now we're laser focused on maintaining this momentum across all the sectors of the emerging clean energy economy. And we know we can't do any of this without you, without working closely with and learning from state and local partners. I think you'll see this in our approach to the clean energy transition across all of our programs. And as a former state official in Maryland, I'm keenly aware that the solutions to even the most pressing problems, especially to the most pressing problems, are found at the local level, found in our communities. These solutions are found by listening to people who are living with them. I'm always eager to hear about state and local grown solutions and how DOE can help deploy and scale these best practices to achieve equitable decarbonization. We know that an enduring challenge across government is coordinating efforts to maximize impact, and we're trying to fix that. I especially care so much about really working with initiatives like our Clean Energy States Alliance, which is working with DC, Connecticut, Minnesota, New Mexico, Oregon, Rhode Island, to carry out strategies that will expand the amount of solar that's available to low and moderate income residents. Another example of partnership is with the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition, which continues to accelerate the commercialization of advanced vehicles and infrastructure across the DC region. So together, we certainly have our work cut out for us in terms of a race against time. And I have to tell you, I don't think I have to tell you that the stakes are really high. Your work is critical, and it plays an invaluable role in tackling the barriers to the wider deployment of American clean energy innovation. I know you all understand deeply that even as we focus on solutions to the technological and the policy challenges, we are ultimately here to serve the people and to serve our communities. And I'd like to work together to support each other in getting the word out about how these investments will benefit each and every American in the here and now, not just in the distant 2050 future. We're here to serve our country. by ensuring a more reliable power grid, a safer and healthier homes and buildings, and more affordable energy for all. We will do everything we can to help and to support the district and all states and territories, for that matter, to meet these ambitious goals. I can't say enough. We are all in this together, and I really look forward to an ongoing collaboration and partnership with you. It was great to hear about everything DC is doing to meet these critical decarbonization goals. So keep up the amazing work on behalf of our community here in the district and behalf of the American people. Thank you so much for your time today.
First of all, I want to acknowledge that we are at a historic moment in this country. And I believe that President Biden's plan, both on climate as well as clean energy and environmental justice, is a historic moment. This is the first time in the history of our country that environmental justice has been integrated so well and so deeply into a climate and energy agenda in this country. And it is critical that we take advantage of this moment, particularly because of the situation that we are in terms of climate change, but also because of the historic moment of having been systematically, our communities have been systematically underserved and underinvested in some areas of the country. And so it's quite notable that President Biden has brought these three sectors, these three areas of important national and federal agenda together. So first, it is important to acknowledge that while there has been extensive work in the field of energy, climate, and environmental justice, there's still so much that we can and that we should do. An essential guiding principle is how do we ensure that both the costs and benefits of a clean, efficient, affordable, and reliable energy system provides the equitable benefits to all communities and does not systematically, disproportionately impose the costs of such a system on certain communities or households. And there are several strategies that I believe that President Biden's administration is undertaking to accomplish this goal. First, a strategy that has been around for quite some time. You all have been implementing this in your various areas of work, and that is of energy efficiency. Essentially, how do we get more energy services with less cost and inputs into the system? Not only reducing cost to the consumer, but to the energy sector as well. Unfortunately, as we also know, there are often large upfront costs to making these investments, which is especially problematic for lower income families who often lack the capital for such upfront investments. In other cases, consumers or community members may not even know or have access to the information required to understand and act upon these potential savings. And while incentives such as consumer rebates can be very effective for middle and upper income households, these are also a barrier for those with limited incomes. This is an important place for us to innovate together, to build a newer system of energy efficiency delivery in a manner that takes into account the unfortunate reality of many of our country's most vulnerable population. We can and should continue to engage in strategies that reduce the cost of clean energy. As we're all aware, the costs of some types of clean energy have declined substantially over the past several years. This has been in part due to support from governments all around the world, but also because of the exceptional research and development that has occurred in the private sector. This means that carbon-free energy sources is competitive and can often be the lowest cost option. The Biden administration has undertaken to propose historic investments in clean energy technologies. This includes technologies that are primed for both immediate deployment, but also those at earlier stages of development. We know that countries around the world are making similar investments. And in order for us to continue to be a leader in clean energy, we also need to continue this trend. By engaging in this pathway, we are ensuring that the U.S. can cut greenhouse gas emissions in a manner that also grows the economy. And equally as important, because dirtier fuels not only emit carbon or other GHGs, they also emit local co-pollutants that are harmful to the health of local communities. We can therefore, through clean energy, also address the public health of our most vulnerable communities. And that leads me to the third point and why my position exists. The consequences of inaction are both economically but also ethically problematic. Our country has incurred about $120 billion per year in damages from extreme weather and climate events over the past 5 years. If we can count on scientific projections, we know that the magnitude of these costs will only accelerate. The 3 most expensive wildfire years have occurred in the past 4 years, and this year alone, nearly 1 in 3 Americans lived in a county hit by a weather disaster. But also of extreme concern, as I noted before, pollution from fossil fuels contributes to worsening health and well-being of many of our fellow families and community members. Local air pollution causes premature death, worsens existing health conditions, leads to higher incidences of respiratory diseases, especially among lower income groups and communities of color. For example, children of color have highly disproportionate rates of asthma. Heat exposure alone is estimated to cause about 12,000 premature deaths annually. And some estimates place about 35% of the heat-related deaths attributable to climate change. All of these statistics are expected to increase by the thousands unless we act. And because climate change will tend to hit low-income regions and individuals harder, it is expected to widen existing economic inequality. Studies estimating the economic damage of climate change in the United States have found that the poorest counties are projected to suffer the larger loss. A recent EPA report has found that Black and African American individuals are projected to face higher impacts of climate change. For example, 34% are more likely to currently live in areas with the highest projected increases in childhood asthma. 40% more are likely to currently live in areas with the highest projected increases in extreme temperature than their other demographic counterparts. Hispanics and Latinos have higher participation in weather-exposed industries, such as construction and agriculture, which are especially vulnerable to the effects of extreme temperatures. They are more likely to live in areas with the highest projected reductions in labor hours due to extreme temperatures as well. So all of these point to the fact that we must undertake bold, innovative solutions that will grow the economy, but also morally and ethically take care of the most vulnerable. One of the premier signature initiatives of the Biden administration is Justice 40. Justice 40 is an initiative that asks for all agencies to invest 40% of their investment benefits in a variety of sectors, including in clean energy and energy efficiency. And what this means is that we will be able to take leadership in addressing the problem of climate change, but doing it in a way that is equitable and responsible. Some of the initiatives that President Biden has undertaken, which we know can contribute to the solutions and can help you all, utilities, regulators, local, state, regional governments, to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Some of these include expanding clean energy tax credits for clean energy projects around the country. Another component of President Biden's agenda is to create a clean energy performance program that provides financial incentives to utilities that generate zero-emission electricity so that we can reach the goal of 80% carbon pollution-free electricity. Distributed generation, mobilizing private investment into distributed energy resources, retrofits of residential, commercial, and municipal buildings, and clean transportation, especially in disadvantaged communities. Investing in research infrastructure and innovation to upgrade laboratories, research infrastructure across the country and provide innovation grants to demonstrate how new climate-relevant technologies can work. Building an EV infrastructure to build out the first ever national network of EV chargers in the United States. Strengthening resilience investing in the resilience of physical and natural systems, including funding for protection against droughts and floods, as well as investing in weatherization. Of course, upgrading the nation's power infrastructure by investing in clean energy transmission. And lastly, of course, with an environmental justice perspective, doing all of these in a way that address legacy pollution. Environmental remediation is an important goal for us to achieve, particularly because our most vulnerable tend to be the most disproportionately impacted by pollution. This includes funding to clean up Superfund sites and brownfield sites, reclaim abandoned mines, lands, and cap orphan gas wells. These are just some of the initiatives and some of the strategies that the Biden administration is undertaking. And like my colleague from DOE, I just want to say that it's an honor and a privilege to serve this country and hopefully to advance a future that will address these fundamental issues that we're a part of. And we're eager to work in partnership with you, in partnership with communities, in partnership with the private sector, with labor, and of course, with state and local governments to achieve the goals that we all need to achieve. After all, this is our common destiny, and we need to make that future the best possible future that we can for our children. So thank you very much.